Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this evening's edition of EDC meeting. It is August 2nd, 2023. We're going to call this meeting to order, 6:01 p.m. Everyone, well, I guess we'll do a pledge of allegiance here first, and then we'll get into roll call.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll do the roll call
Thank you. Chair Lawson,
here.
Lisa Butler, Jacqueline Hunt, Michael Acciardi, and Chris Barron is on his way this evening, and our ex officio this evening is Counselor Butch Kendall. Here, and our special guest is Doug Keene, the rare volunteer who will be leaving us in a week or so.
Posting a waiting. Thank you both for being here this evening. We'll go ahead and do a quick review of last month's meeting minutes. I know we we're focusing heavy on the grant application process. So we interviewed what will soon be Amelia's Bar and Grill, and ultimately moved to approve the food service tenant improvement grant for that specific tenant. We also got into updates on city properties, the Blanco Opportunity Area, commercial streets, and we postponed an update on the downtown business spreadsheet, as well as potential prep for future work session with URA with Lisa Beatnell. So we're hoping to get into that this evening. Any additions or questions on last month's meeting? All those in favor of approving last month's meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay. Unanimous approval of last month's meeting minutes. So we can get into new business here. So Lisa, thank you again for all the work and time you've put into building the downtown business spreadsheet. I think we'll go ahead and start with that. I don't know if everyone has the ability to view. You have computers, but
We can pull
is
it
it
up.
possible to pull it up? So
You
we
should
can see what we're seeing.
If you go to your Google thing. I.
Well, that's getting pulled up. Just a kind of a quick background.
Hit the calendar. Or
The committee
city webpage or the calendar.
wanted to spearhead an effort to kind of consolidate all the properties in the downtown corridor in North Plains to a central location. Whether the properties are available or not, just a central location here. And so Lisa put together a very nice looking spreadsheet that encapsulates different
And then you
attributes
get rid
of
of the
property, and
Sites.
I think some of the discussions tonight will be, you know, what do we keep, what do we add, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that way.
Sure.
We talked about this maybe in March.
Yeah,
That sounds right, when we first brought this up, we talked about how do we want to fill this out. So as you can see, there's a lot of information.
Not able.
And as Cindy shared a list of human.
What's the answer?
Timber Commerce. So I had updated this with
Can you
her spreadsheet.
talk into the mic?
Oh, yes, so I updated this with first spreadsheet, which is actually a separate tab on here if anyone wants to see the original data. Just for information, and there actually was not that much additional information that wasn't already on the spreadsheet. So a few updates, but for the most part, we already had the businesses that are on that target area, commercial street captured, and they're added. So I think what we need to talk about is, all right, let's get this cleaned up, and now we're at this point, we've got a lot of missing data. What do we want to do with this next? To be my question today.
At first glance, probably updating some of the like physical attributes, so like lot sizes and if there's buildings. If we know the square footage of those buildings. And if we just know any other details on the owners, contact information, things like that. That would be, I think, my first stab at it, but are there other pieces of information that the committee thinks would be, more beneficial to capture sooner rather than down the road?
Well, when I talked to Cindy, it's definitely her emphasis of, hey, we really want to do this outreach effort together. So based on that, which is fantastic, I think that figuring out who the different owners are of the properties would be one of the highest priorities.
So
Hmm.
that would probably be a process of maybe like county records, city records, as well as, going out and meeting the owners themselves. I think that would be a good outreach initiative for this group too.
And it looks like Doug has some thoughts on this as well.
Yes, go to our caller.
If I may, we have access to Washington County's GeoNet, which we can use to look up property owners, based on the actual tax law. So we can use, GIS and assessor data to pull some of that information. While it might not always be a one-to-one link, it is accurate for most of the properties. And I still think the outreach component is very important, but maybe I can work on that next week during my last week. It won't be too difficult. I can pull that data and then add another tab for contact information and add in contact information that I can find too.
That'd be great. So we would just, this, I believe, is a Google sheet, is that right, Lisa, or was it converted to?
No, it's, yeah, it's a Google
a
Sheet.
live document, so
Still live, yes. you
we
can
can
just-
share it with Doug.
And I think we're sharing, I think it was shared. But
Yeah.
you're right.
Okay. Perfect. Any other pieces of information that would be good to capture?
All right, so I'm gonna figure out, then after we figure out who the property owners are, probably if it's not, this current tenant isn't the owner, who that is. Okay. If you want both, property owner and.
Which I have a tenant, I can get the tenant information off of our business license list that I do. We're actually updating it and hopefully getting it a little bit more organized over the next few months. But I have all of the businesses that are in buildings or that do business in North Plains, so I can provide that information to Doug, or he can send me the spreadsheet or whatever, and I can put it in. So.
Sounds like we've done a good, or a good job at outsourcing.
So if we do that around here. All those directors. I think all the, like, the columns are relevant. Some look like years operating application. Most recent contact with EDC, those are probably items that aren't super urgent, or they're just good fields to have just in case there are notes we can put in there. Is there anything the group would like to add in terms of columns or even expanding specific columns.
Do we want to know future growth plans and any existing that the business might be interested in getting from other things?
So mostly just qualitative data gathering in terms of going and talking to these owners and if they have any plans and more conversational with that.
I think another item to add is what is the location zoned for? So if it is an empty space, we can know what type of businesses actually attract that market instead of, if it's retail, I can go out and be like, hey, we're gonna put manufacturing. That's super important to know.
Could be helpful to have, we have contact information for any of the owners, either email or phone, if you were to have a chance to call or contact them.
Do they provide that on the county GIS page, contact information? I know they owner's name, but is there like their mailing address or their something?
They have some sort of mailing address, yeah, and based off of a mailing address, you can use public records to get phone numbers and emails too.
Send the question back, I think to probably Bill is, I know we had talked about next topic, that's definitely coordinating with the Chamber of Commerce, who are eager to be a partner in this. But I believe we had some discussion too about a welcome, from the city welcome packet or something, a refresh that we would like, would be a good intro for us to the businesses, is that right? We better remember to get along those lines.
I mean, is the ultimate, as the ultimate goal, or just one of the things you want to use that kind of utilize this to do?
Conversation about this, but you not anything you remember.
Yeah, it was just more of a conversation starter for when new businesses come to town, just making sure that they have all the resources that are available to them. So you had mentioned in the past, there's already a lot within the city's website. There's like what a new business needs to know. There's all that directory information. So it's more just updating and refreshing that to also have a physical copy to get us out there in front of them to make introductions and then also give them those resources. I mean, we can give them a QR code that says go to our website, but at the same time, something a little bit more of substance might also help with the conversations.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we can certainly do that. We would also make a QR code's a great idea, just to kind of, so they can after the fact or later, do whatever they need. But I think what's fair to say is that we'll be where the city website's going to be moving over to a new service for a few different reasons before long. And we're probably going to do an overhaul of some things, including the information for new businesses to kind of be a lot more streamlined, a lot less wall of text sort of thing. So
Going on just a small, not even a one sheet, but like a half a sheet with a QR code and just some basic information on it.
yep.
Okay, I found the notes where we discussed this back in November. So there was a discussion about the city have a toolkit for urban development. And then also that there was going to be a downtown project kickoff in February, which I assume was the study that we had done. So we that would go. But we had talked about the idea of, hey, we can invite even current owners to give them some resources and be involved.
Right. So let me back up in my memory about that. So I think, okay. My recollection is, yes, and I agree with all that, and I remember bits and pieces. I've slept so many times since then, I'm afraid, but I guess,
Free to be exact.
yeah. But what I guess what my hope was, including that conversation, including this spreadsheet and some of the information that you're pulling together. The ultimate goal, there are a few different goals, but one of the big goals from a city action standpoint was to help with an effort for you all to kind of help set the stage for us to have a downtown Main Street program organization, a 501c3. That requires members, a champion in that group, and somebody that can dedicate themselves or their time to kind of working with the Main Street organization and pursuing grants and working with local businesses. And this database was one of those things. But what also came out of that was the toolkit conversation. And we never did kind of go down that path, just because waves of other things kind of started and came and all that. So I guess if I were to say anything, it would be to kind of hope that in doing this, there's a reset in part to let's try to get to where we have a Main Street organization so that we can unlock some money to help pay for some of the things that this is all meaning to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And I like all of the progress you've made on the table. And I think it's incredibly important how you've pulled everything together and are continuing to, because the folks on this list are the ones that have to be leaned upon to join a downtown organization. And if there isn't any communication about that, only a few of them participated in the downtown plan. The Chamber of Commerce, their focus is all the businesses in the North Plains area. They don't necessarily have the time to focus intensively on downtown on Commercial Street per se. So a toolkit and everything else, I think, can be can be an important part of this. But I would say, filling out this information so that we know what they need, as well as getting them involved, potentially getting people on what kind of interest in a Main Street organization, both of those things would be extremely useful.
Question, Chairman? What participation, I mean, it's for Bill, what participation on this kind of a setup for the business, what participation do you have to make this thing go forward?
The only thing, Councilor Kendall, great question. The answer to the question is the city needs to have, the city doesn't act, the city, but
Right.
we need to work with downtown businesses and maybe the EDC to come together and at least just form a nonprofit downtown organization. And we can work with the Urban Renewal Agency can work with whatever group of people these are to help do the work to establish the 501c3, but we need a group of people committed to participating and carrying the ball on it. Business owners,
Yeah.
property owners, can be residents, so
Oh, okay.
EDC members
Oh.
themselves, certainly, if there's a passion for downtown, then by all means, yes.
Okay.
Will the city, back to your point, the city get the resources for like attorneys and all that fun stuff to go through the 501c3 application?
I think we'd be able to figure it out. I mean, I think what we would do is we would consult with Oregon Main Street and kind of get their to-do list to make it happen and what a city needs to do versus what the committee itself needs to do and how to piece those resources together. Doug, do you have any other answers to that question, since you have been you've gotten yourself steeped in their communication? So
How do you feel about being the lead for the Oregon?
Well, I did have some experience, sort of navigating the Main Street, program application to actually have an affiliated downtown association. And right now our status is, connected community. That basically just means that we're at the lowest rung of the totem pole. And to get to that next level, we need to meet this criteria. I do not have an internet connection right now, so I cannot. look it up.
I do.
It's not working for some reason. But it's on their website. I can pull it up and get it to you, and we can come back to that, but it's on the Oregon Main Street, program website. They just have this checklist where, you need to have. Phil, do you remember any of that? It was the, you kind of need to have like a certain amount of businesses participating in your downtown association, or you need to have a recognized downtown association.
Yeah, thank you, Doug. No, the thing that's holding North Plains back from the next level of participation, like I think we're considered an affiliate of the Oregon Main Street because we participate in their listserv, and Doug went to the conference last year in Klamath Falls, but what the next step, what we need is we need to have an organization established, a 501c3, with basically with a board. And it can be newly established, it can be very basic, but we just kind of have to have an organization. That's what we need. And they're not, I mean, you know, you want downtown businesses and property owners, but it's really just having that entity legally established.
Yeah, I mean, there were some other things on that checklist, but essentially is the entity that is the main thing they're looking for. And if you want to learn more about Oregon Main Street and like how they operate, the best way to do it, other than going to that conference, is just tuning into one of their Mornings on Main calls on Thursdays. I participated in them throughout the year, and you just kind of get to discuss these issues and day-to-day operations of downtown association directors, and they can kind of give you a picture of what it's like. But downtown associations give cities a capacity to accomplish a lot of remarkable things, and we should definitely look towards forming one.
Is there anything stopping, like, say, I've got a wild hair, and decided to go home tonight, register with the state of Oregon, and then also go to the IRS and get an EIN number? Is there anything stopping? Would that hurt the process, help the process?
You mean like form a 501c3?
Well, the form of 501c3, I'd have to go to the IRS and actually get them to agree to the application. But as far as like getting the actual association registered, it's a pretty easy thing. I can go on the state's website, register the association tonight, and then go get the EIN number at the same time.
I mean, that would be one piece of the puzzle, but
$50 in 20 minutes.
I mean, I would encourage you to do that, definitely. But it's not the only thing on the list.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the starting point. We get that done, and now you actually have a ball and you can roll downhill, but you don't have anything until that is taken care of.
Let's do it.
Cool.
Sure, you turn your receipt in to Bill.
Okay.
And we'll
Sweet.
we'll
I
cover
will
it,
register the North Plains Downtown Association with the state of Oregon.
right? We'll cover that part.
Yep.
And once they're a thing, then we don't. cover
And
it.
you said that was $4.99?
It's usually like $50.
Okay,
It's not expensive. The regular.
very good.
And Lori just shared via email the downtown or Oregon Main Street website as well. So we can reference that
You
for
can get on that.
Ocean Jones, things like that. Excellent. Any other questions on that or any additions to downtown topic? Thanks, Doug. Appreciate the insight. Thanks, Bill. Kind of a similar topic is just a continuation of our discussion about how we can benefit a lot of the small businesses with some of the hurdles with codes, zoning, things like that. We had talked specifically about the old Rusty Piston location, parking, challenges that they were having, and that kind of sparked a question about, things we could do to help move things along bureaucratically, maybe for small businesses. So just wanted to open that back up if there were any questions or, additions to that discussion, or if that's something we would prefer to visit another time.
Oh, well, I do have a question. I did call into the city council in June, I believe, and asked if we could have a working session with them on this topic. And then the answer was yes. How do we follow up on that to get that scheduled or find out what they're doing in terms of time?
What's council? Yeah, so Councilor Sheldon, when he was here, said that that was something that probably could go before city council, what, September or October, I think. Basically, Andy and I Andy keeps kind of the schedule and agenda for city councils moving forward, and we just put that on there. He knows, the mayor knows, that you all, well, now Councilor Kendall knows that that you all have asked to have your kind of have your board, your body reviewed to add 2 more members. And then we looked at it, and the resolution that authorizes the Economic Development Committee has become dated. And what we should probably do is we'll work towards put together a resolution that that basically they adopt, and it kind of like updates and expands the mission of what you're all doing. So having said that, I think perhaps at a future meeting between now and then, and I think September would be extremely appropriate if you don't talk about it tonight, and that is we can give you the existing resolution to see what you all have been operating within, and you'll see that it's expanded, and then you can kind of put together maybe some suggested language given what you all have been doing or wanting to do, and that can be considered for a new resolution. That would be my suggestion.
So it sounds like maybe we'll have an opportunity in September, October to do a working session on.
I think, yeah, I think that would be appropriate. I think we could come to them and have a work session and kind of talk about, update the whole council on everything you've been doing with everybody at once. More counselors are ex officio for this group than others. So it's good for everybody on council at the same time to kind of, visit with you all and hear about what you've been doing and where things are going with what you're hoping to do. And that informs a resolution.
All right, a follow-up question. I believe that the rest of the bishops, their appeal for a variance already went before the city council. Do we know the outcome of that?
Okay, so actually, this is something that I did want to inform you guys about. Steve and I did a rereading of the code, and the recently adopted language from the downtown plan in May, we had thought at first that it only applied to the C1 zone. The updates to the parking requirements for the downtown plan apply to the entire city. So they do not need a variance for parking anymore, and will only have to put in 5 spaces as opposed to 11 or 8 with the variance.
Okay, and that's without changing your zoning requirements, where you already are able to do that based on that.
Because the updates were not to a specific zone, they were citywide, so. The same parking requirements that would be on a structure in any other zone would apply to theirs. And we had previously thought that the old requirements would apply to every zone except for C1. So this was a very welcome discovery, and their variance is still being used, but it's going to be used for a projection for a porch out of the front of their business instead of for the parking, but now it allows them to free up a lot more of the space outside of the business for other uses like landscaping, furniture, just instead of vehicle storage.
All right, thank you, good update.
The EDC can count that as a win for our organization here. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Doug, for looking into that.
Yeah. I think we should spend probably some more time on that topic, and especially ahead of a potential September event. But I think if everyone's fine focusing on maybe next month on that topic, so we can kind of come a bit more prepared, wrap our heads around it a little better. We'll go ahead and do that. I think that's good to know. In the meantime, I just wanted to pretty high level check in with the committee on how you think the grant application process went with the first two applicants we had, if there was any changes you would recommend, things we as a group could have done better, if we did well, if there's any top of mind notes. Personally, I think it went pretty smoothly in terms of the group's preparedness and the questions we asked. I think we focused on really the intent of what the whole application process was intended for. I really didn't have much to change. I think it was a good representation of the business, and by the end of the process, the interview, we had a good idea on whether it was a green light or not.
I mean, I'll give kudos to the actual application itself, had so much detail that by the time it came to the meeting, we knew what the purpose was, what the intent was, who the business was. And so it was really just lingering questions that we had. And I felt like all the questions that this group asked were extremely on point, and kind of, there was some hesitation I had about a couple of them, or we've only had two. One of them, and I'd say that hesitation went away with the group's questioning, kind of where we landed as a group. So, yeah, my thoughts went well. It's great. I give people money for a living, and I can hire you guys to do it too.
Their feedback.
Oh, well, I have a quick update. We are going to put some promotional materials inside the new businesses that receive these grants. Bill and I have been working on a little window sticker to put in, and it has a little QR code that you can scan for information about the program. Sweet.
Well done.
You undersold the fork and spoon in the logo, Doug.
That was really good. Is the QR code taken to the application, or where's it land?
It takes them to the informational page about it, with the link to the application on the page.
Great.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
How large are the?
so I think it's gonna be 5 by 7. Yeah.
Great, yeah. Well done. Good design. Yeah. QR code.
Focus.
Bill or anyone else, if you have comments just on the application process for this group particularly?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say thank you. I think all of your questions were great. I think it's, we're trying to strike a fine balance of the city really needs new places and options for people to go dine. And, you know, Capillo in particular, I didn't intend, or, you know, our intention wasn't for a yogurt shop to be one of the types of things that would apply for the grant. But at the same time, North Plains is unfortunately really lacking in places for families and kids to go do something. And the grant helped make that possible. I think in a bigger city, their grant program probably wouldn't go to a yogurt shop, but I think North Plains is North Plains, and the grant helped bring something that was very much needed. And so I see kids walking to the building, riding their scooters, parents bringing kids. I go there every now and then each week, and I go grab just a little bit and kind of check in on them, and that's what's going on. So it's great. But we're trying to strike a balance between the necessary due diligence for the city to feel comfortable that these folks know what they're doing. They're not going to fail immediately. They have support, and you're satisfied that they've met the requirements of the grant. Your community members, your volunteers, and you have a role to review and recommend based on that. But it's a fine balance, due diligence, and then wanting something to work. And I think you all have done a good job. I think each application is going to be a little bit different. The second one, that guy knows what he's doing. There's no doubt about it. And North Plains gets to be added to the Amelia's restaurant family, and North Plains will be marketed, and Glencoe is going to be a beneficiary. Businesses on Glencoe are going to be a beneficiary of marketing that brings more people to Glencoe Road to get food and enjoy beer and what have you. But the assurance that is going to be a new type of business, and not lean on what they cook and serve at other restaurants, kind of being part of that check on it is important. But I think that each application process is going to be a little bit different, and there's not going to be a formula. Each one's going to come to us. I had to deny I've denied a grant application. Another business applied. They just a welcome business to the city, but their food service was really kind of a small component and almost an afterthought to it. And funds are limited, so we didn't award a grant to them. But having said that, the grant has already been successful in doing what we wanted besides bringing restaurants. So Dave's building, awarding the grant to Capillo, and them opening and promoting. And then Amelia's getting the grant, leasing and getting ready to construct. Dave was able to fill the other 3 spaces pretty quickly after that. And now he's gotten lending to start that new building. But it started with getting Capillo in with the grant. So you've already had a halo effect with just 2 grants, and one in particular that started it off. So you're already making an impact with process here. I just want to point that out.
I did, and my family and I have been going quite regularly. But it still can't believe it's not ice cream. But I've been talking to the owner and her husband there a few times, and she was talking about how easy the process was and how thankful they were that they were able to get that grant, and how big of a difference it made in their business. And think about an interesting site, I don't know if you all follow the North Plains community site, but there was an article written about Capillo. It's called What Now Portland, the site. And a really nice article about North Plains itself, and what we're trying to do, and then this is a new sort of business for the area. So it's kind of an additional little boost that I wasn't expecting that. Nice. But yeah, she's been really happy, and she's excited about the play area coming in next door, figuring people bring their kids, they go, Mommy, I want to go. And she's even excited about Amelia, this big people at dinner, they went to the third, you don't have dinner there, or they want to have an option. So it's kind of working together.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Imagine that's probably pretty close to a best case scenario in terms of sharing a wall with other tenants.
My daughter keeps asking, where are you going? We've gone a couple of times. Now her favorite thing.
So if I might, and you probably don't remember, but as far as the budget for doing more grants, we have budgeted for this fiscal year, so through next June 30th of 2024, we've budgeted for $150,000 worth of grants, and then the same amount for the following year. So a total of $300,000 budgeted, doesn't have to all be spent, but budgeted for different grants of assistance. So we only had one for the last fiscal year, that was Capio, and Amelia's will be the first of the current new fiscal year. So we have resources to help businesses come along. We do understand there may be a buyer of the Rogue, and they're looking at putting in some new things and providing expanded new food service inside. We'll learn more as that potentially happens. But, you know, I was asked questions about would the grant program apply? And I said, well, we're not looking at, the grant funds can't go to an existing business just to replace a dishwasher or something. We're looking for new food service options within the community. But they'd be looking at expanding the menu and better hours and things like that. So there probably will be a path to, if there's need, potentially helping with that. And that'd be nice because we haven't been able to help a downtown business yet. Nobody's looked at downtown, but somebody acquiring the Rogue and significantly changing food service there, I think we'd really want to talk to them.
Anything else on this topic before we move ahead? All right, kind of the final topic, the update on the UGB process. I know there's an opportunity for EDC members to provide comments and attendance to a process hearing. So Bill, if you have details that you'd like to elaborate on that.
I would be happy to. April 9th, a week from tonight, the Planning Commission will hold a hearing. Excuse me, August 9th. I'm sorry, my brain. Yeah, and Andy went on vacation on a great week. I'm happy for him. I hope he has a great time. I hope he's having a wonderful time. But anyway, yeah. So next Wednesday, August 9th, the Planning Commission will hold a hearing to consider new supplemental information to be added to the existing UGB findings and UGB already adopted by City Council. We've had some analysis done and some new information that basically just adds where we might be light on some findings and kind of strengthens what we have when we give it to the county and the state. It's basically what this is about. But because it's kind of amending an existing thing, a hearing is going to be held and people can come and support the UGB generally, support what they think about the additional information, oppose it. We'll probably hear, we're going to hear a variety of things. So I guess what I would say is that it would be a very good idea and opportunity for the EDC to, in some way, individually, you can speak, or if you want to submit a letter on behalf, if you as an EDC want to submit a letter, you can do that too. But some kind of expression on your behalf about the UGB expansion. This is the opportunity.
So last meeting and hearing, we as a group submitted a letter. Would it be valuable for the group to submit a very similar letter? Does it need to be changed per se in the record?
So I wouldn't submit the same letter. I guess what I would say is, Eric, you were at the hearing. And you heard the variety of things said at the hearing or hearings. And I think you can probably submit a letter that's extremely similar. But if you want to update it in any way about, with anything, you can. I'm sure a similar letter would work just fine. It's important to expand for the local economy. The city needs a local economy. It's largely a bedroom community, and that's not a sustainable thing for the community. And people drive too far to work and dine and, whatever, I think you could probably submit something really similar. That sort of thing.
Yeah, 6 p.m.
I believe that's right, 6 p.m., right, Lori? Planning Commission?
Work session, the regular meetings at 7.
This hearing's at 7.
Hearing is at
Hearing is at 7.
I will be there. And I can represent the group. Others like that. Yes, please.
This time around, we're going to have a lot of property owners, farmers in the immediate vicinity who will be coming into the urban growth boundary. They're going to come and testify and support themselves. So we'll hear a lot more in the words of our neighbors who are going to be brought in. So might be a little bit longer.
Early days.
Well,
Much longer. Yeah. If
I don't-
start nodding off someone.
I don't see Chair King letting it go too late. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So, I can draft a letter and share with the group ahead of time. If anyone has any revisions or additions, I can add those in. That sounds good.
It seems like the community side stuff is gonna stir it up a little bit, so. I think we'll be interested.
Yes. So.
Any shift updates? I saw there was something in the Portland business room that didn't have time to do it.
CHIPS Act for North Plains. Not, I guess what I would say generally is that we do know. So actually, okay, Friday at 10 o'clock, the governor's economic advisor who is running the show for SB4 is coming to North Plains and to tour and meet with us, the mayor, Andy, and me, and then our government relations person. And we're going to hopefully learn, hopefully we'll see some cards on exactly what they're looking at and what they're doing. But having said that, what we do know is that they're watching our UGB expansion very closely. They're extremely happy that we're moving along as we are and kind of through the process the way it's supposed to happen so that the governor's office doesn't have to make any big dramatic act. If a business wants to be in North Plains, we're kind of already doing it ourselves with the UGB expansion. So they're happy about that and they're watching that closely. Having said that, Business Oregon has let us know that with the businesses that are looking to move into Oregon, North Plains is scoring very highly in terms of site need and location and transportation connections and nearby workforce and things like that. So that's encouraging. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but it does look like North Plains is extremely competitive for who are looking.
And I apologize, I skipped over item A of unfinished business, which was just an update on the commercial street property that was purchased by the city. Both Bill, you and Andy toured the building, did a walkthrough, and I believe you were just going to share some of those findings as well.
Made it out alive.
I made it out alive.
And he didn't have to wear a hazmat. suit.
My ear, nose and throat specialist said I'm okay. I think the black mold was the big problem. Yeah, we toured the building and actually it closed earlier this week. So the city does own the building now, and we're gonna have some contractors clean up the grounds. It's it's costly enough that we have to get bid quotes. And then we'll hire someone pretty quickly. We don't have to go through an RFP process, but we do have to get a couple bids just to meet legal requirements. But we'll get the property cleared out. There's a trailer back there that we're not sure about the licensing on it, whether it can be just dumped or not, but we're going through all that. And then our staff are beginning the process soon of at least boarding up the doors and hopefully the windows on the bottom, but we're going to have a contractor come out and kind of secure that and the windows upstairs. We thought it would be $800,000 at a minimum to do any kind of refurbishment inside, but it's probably going to be significantly more. So we'll be bringing all the information to council soon, and there seems to be growing interest in just calling it a public health hazard and raising it. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I mean, one would like to see a historic home potentially refurbished, but it's in such bad shape, unfortunately. So anyway, I think there are pictures online on one of the Facebook groups, so you can take a look for yourself. I did not post those, and the city did not post those. I don't know who did, but they did.
So hopefully next month or over the next couple of months, there'll be further updates on next steps and if like decisions are made, whether it's going to be.
Yeah, and the city owns the property next door, the yellow house, where the library has kept books for a long time. So we'll be looking at figuring out what to do with both of those at the same time, probably to see something happen across the street from City Hall.
Is there any plan in terms of bringing in consultants or anyone with experience kind of to develop those types of properties, bring ideas to the table of what could be leveraged on those types of properties?
So before I joined the city, yes, before I joined the city, Andy had some developers and folks who kind of do that sort of thing, tour and look around. The city certainly didn't own the Red House, hadn't owned the Red House yet, but they did talk about the fact that wouldn't it be great if the city did own it? Because you could combine the two parcels, get rid of both houses, and you would have enough to work with to do something. And then one of my former students is an architect, and he's actually been working with us on our public works building, but I've chatted with him about the properties. And what I do know is that a 3-story mixed-use apartment building with about 2,500, 3,000 square feet of retail or commercial on the ground floor and enough parking could fit on both parcels together. So we'll have options is the bottom line.
All right, last item was just the land use application index, so everyone has time to take a look at that, stay current on land use updates. Any other topics or comments from the committee before we adjourn?
Any updates on the development where they're talking about the grocery store and then back on the cost of things like that as well?
Great question. There is nothing new to report about that project. We still have, pardon me, an extraordinary cost estimate for dealing with the soil on the property. And frankly, again, it's all due to contractors bidding on the high side of cost due to them not understanding, even though there's been due diligence on this, they're still bidding on the high side based on their perceived risk of what hauling all the soil away at cost will be, or what the need will be. So actually, just today, I heard from Business Oregon, and we're looking at setting up a meeting with their regional solutions team to kind of run this and the Public Works building by them in more detail to kind of figure out, kind of a show me the money meeting, for lack of a better word. But the fact is that, we're dealing with brownfield issues. We're dealing with, frankly, the biggest environmental issue with the property isn't the old gas station area. It's the fact that under DEQ, the fact that it was an orchard for a long time, there was enough DDT used on the property over the years that even though right now the soil wouldn't harm anybody, if like a kid went over and dug in it and played, nobody would be harmed. But under DEQ standards, that's still not quote unquote clean soil. So we can't just scrape it and dump it in a farmer's field. So there you have it. But the state should be scheduling a meeting for us soon to kind of comprehensively talk with different departments who may be able to have a role in helping us with this.
There's still the Brownsville grant that wants up to 2 million. Is that still on the table and being pursued?
It is, and the director of that program, Karen Homelak, will be part of the meeting. Mhm.
Any comments from our ex officio guests this evening, council member?
I enjoyed the meeting. There's a lot of things going on here that I did or going on, some I do. But looking at this, when you get 7 in a row of counselors, I don't think I can't convey everything to the council. You need to come before the council, where you've been, where you want to go, and then let the council respond back. And I think we really get a lot done more so that way than one-on-one. I mean, it's good to come to the meeting. We'll give it all, continue that, but I think that either maybe once a year, twice a year, who knows, what the council wants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Doug, thank you for your input, attendance. We will miss you.
Yeah.
I missed the beginning. Yeah.
Are you staying around to do a table at the garden?
I'll be attending.
I had a note here to talk to you about something afterwards. We just threw that for a monkey wrench. I'm still gonna talk to you.
We can still talk.
Yeah.
All right. Lori, Bill, anything else?
I don't think so. Thank you.
I seem to be missing a gavel here.
Yeah. Just use your hand.
I
It's
guess
fine.
we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, 6:59 PM. Thank you everyone for. attending.
So
We've gotten to not wanting